There seems to be an agreement among the foreign policy scholars and lawmakers in the United States that America should continue to support Afghan people after the presidential elections and after 2014. Many also agree that a small presence of American forces in Afghanistan after the proposed withdrawal in 2014 would be vital for the security of both countries. However, they view the successful conduct of the upcoming presidential elections and policies of the next elected Afghan president as important criteria which will decide the nature of America's relations with Afghanistan. Seth Jones, a Rand Corporation scholar who was involved in President Obama's 2010 policy review of Afghanistan and Pakistan, cites factors which could complicate the US Afghan relationship after the elections.
If it's a very narrow margin, there were security concerns that caused some people not to be able to vote, especially in Pashtun communities. And we had a high level of fraud that could have potentially tipped the balance. Something like that causes a lot of political fracturing among ethnic constituencies, for example, something that drags on for a while. That's a potentially concerning outcome as well.
Experts argue that American public support for the Afghan war effort has dropped significantly, and the same trend can be observed in other partnering nations. Caroline Wadhams, who served as an election observer during the Afghan parliamentary elections in 2010, says that impartial conduct of elections is important even for the leaders of international partners to convince their population that Afghanistan is making progress.
I would just say that a lot of the major donors post 2014 have to make their make the case to their publics about why they should continue funding the Afghan state, and that's going to be a hard political lift. Most of these are democratic countries that have parliaments and the Congress that they have to report to. So if the election goes poorly, they are going to have a really hard time making that case.
But among members of the US Congress and other lawmakers, the issue of the bilateral security agreement is a prime consideration for a continued partnership. Congressman Adam Kinzinger, who serves on the Foreign Relations Committee of the US Congress, highlights the need to sign the BSA as soon as possible.
I think the United States has been very careful not to show a preference. I've personally, even as a congressman, been very careful not to show a preference. But I think it's important that the next president do what Hamid Karzai should actually do today, which is sign the BSA and endorse what the Loya Jirga did by 100%. So I think if the next president does that, I think it'll be great for our relationship. If he does not, then I think it will obviously be very difficult.
The scholars and lawmakers also say that a successful and democratic transfer of power from the current to the next president of Afghanistan would mark an important and positive beginning for that country's political future.